What's happening, Andy here? I'm joined today by Oscar Sanchez, President and CEO of Kyocera, Kyocera Document Solutions in New Jersey, Fairfield, New Jersey. How are you today, Oscar?
I'm doing fine, Andy. Thank you very much for having me.
Very nice to see you again. I just saw you last week. You're probably getting a little tired of me by now. Looking at your office, unless you redecorated, I'm guessing you were at home today.
Yeah, after an intense week last week in San Antonio, I thought that today it was a good idea to stay at home and work from home. So yeah, I'm at home today.
Well, you deserve to work at home today. I love working at home. I do it as often as I can. I thought this would just be a great opportunity to just take a few minutes out of your schedule, your busy schedule, and maybe discuss the event that we all just did, your REIMAGINE conference. We spent several days in Texas last week and have some pictures of you in a cowboy hat that we will share out in our maybe even on this conversation. During this conversation I'll flip over. But you know, it's been several years now. What, 3 years since your last event, right? And we talked earlier that was you know, mostly planned by the time you had arrived in your role here. So this was really your first event with your team, with your people, your vision, your goals. It took you a while to get there. 3 tries, right? You and everybody else have been fighting this scheduling monster that we've been dealing with the last 2 years, but you finally got it in. You're the first ones to have a show of this size that I've been to in our world, and it was really good to be back. At 850 attendees, the press release said 225 dealers were represented there. So what did you think? You know, what, San Antonio, Texas, was that your first time down in that area? How did it go for you? What were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, very excited to be able to be in front of the dealers for the first time after 3 or 2 years. I mean, it has been very frustrating for everyone that we could not really meet the dealers and talk to them face to face. So that was the first exciting thing. Very excited to be in San Antonio. Not really my first time there. I was living in San Antonio for 1 year when I was 23, 24. Right after law school, I got a job in a law firm in San Antonio. So I was working there for a year, and I loved the city. So it was really nice to go back there. And yeah, generally speaking, I'm quite excited about the event. I think the outcome was positive. We got some positive comments from the dealers, and it was really nice. I think that the good thing about having an event in a place like San Antonio is that, you know, after the dinner and the different celebrations, you have time to have the last drink with the dealers in the bar of the hotel, which is also really nice. You know that when you're in Vegas, people get a little bit distracted. And however, in San Antonio, people were concentrated in the hotel, and that was also a great opportunity. So again, altogether, I think it was really good.
Well, it started off with a bang. You had you know, you opened up, and actually Natalie opened up, one of the newer people, the Natalie Cumberbatch. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
The HR, our vice president, and that was actually interesting to see an HR person kind of kick things off and MC the event. So usually it's a salesperson or a marketing person. So that was neat. She's great on stage, very personable. You had somebody from Japan, Hironori Ando, came over from Japan. He's the president of Kyocera, right? So your boss. And you know, gave a little update on the financial situation, which wasn't actually quite as bad as I was thinking it would be. You know, for the most part in our world, a lot of the companies are really struggling, and you know, your numbers were not exactly where you'd like them to be right now, but they were much closer to where they should be than I thought. You know what, you want to maybe just talk about that a little bit, and how you guys have been able to come back a little more quickly, you know, than the trend right now?
Well, I'd say not that they were not as bad. I think they were really good. I mean, if we look at the results of the company worldwide, we had a very good revenue recovery. But what is more important, we had a very good bottom line with you know, almost 2 digits profit before tax, which is quite exceptional if you look at the situation of our industry. I think generally speaking, Kyocera has been always very traditional, I would say more than traditional, sorry, very conservative. Yes. On doing investments, on doing maybe some kind of little bit risky bets into our business. So when many companies were doing you know, very you know, significant investments in some areas of the business, I think Kyocera was in that sense very conservative. And I think right now in this moment that has paid off, and we are now in a situation that our bottom line is really good, and we are ready to keep on investing in developing products and invest in our business. And I think that's quite good. So I hope that the dealers realize that they are working with a very strong and solid financially solid organization. And I think that helps everyone. So I think that was quite encouraging for everyone.
Well, it crept into, I noticed several slides. One, I'll paraphrase, but that you're sitting on a lot of cash, that you guys are in a very strong financial position was probably how you actually phrased it. So coming out of this thing, or hopefully coming out of this thing, and maybe it's a good segue to discuss that. Again, you are one of the first ones now, if not the first, to really put a tentative date on when you think you're going to start getting out of these inventory issues. And you targeted hopefully end of summer for A3. You're going to see some relief. Your dealers are going to see some relief. And then you said you told your dealer community for A4 you're hoping end of year. You didn't say you definitely are, but it's looking like, right? So but you are putting a target on that wall. And can you talk about that and what makes you feel like you are starting to see that you're going to be able to, hopefully, if things continue at the progression that you're going down, why those dates? What are you seeing that's going to free things up?
Well, because we see that from what we can do, which means the production that we can generate. We really see that we'll have production to cover all the orders and the back orders that we have. As you said, A3 after the summer, A4 at the end of the year. That's something that from our side, we are confident about it, but it is true that we cannot give a exact date because we depend on so many factors. I think there are so many moving pieces in the whole supply chain crisis that you don't know what is going to happen with COVID-19 in China. You don't know what is going to happen with any other factors that we see out there. But at least what we can control, which is production, the outlook seems very, very positive. Actually, we're expecting that the solution, for instance, with A3 was going to come earlier. The only problem is that the closure of, basically Shanghai affected many parts manufacturing in our industry. And that means that it affected us as well. That's why it moved a little bit to later after the summer. But generally speaking, we can say that this is the first time that we see the light at the end of the tunnel, that we will see an end to this situation. And we are very, very excited about it because that will leave behind the biggest problem that we had in the last year.
Yeah, inventory, right? So you've got to keep those ships coming, keep that inventory coming, because you've got 22 new devices that Jose announced during his presentation. 22 new devices, A3, A4, coming over the next year or so at various times, including a new commercial print product, a variant, I guess, of the 15,000C, which is more of a transactional product. Rico sells it on your behalf. You've got a big partner in Europe that sells. It's been a very successful product for Kyocera in an area where you had played for years but didn't play. You've made print heads for many years, but you never really had any devices in there. So now you're expanding that line, right? What was the interest level, do you think, from dealers for the products that you've got now versus coming? Like, how many dealers are selling these? Are people really jumping on? I know you did come a little late to production, so you kind of had that against you. But this is a completely different animal, right? So are dealers gravitating towards it? Are you signing new ones up? Have you sold a bunch of them so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're not a little late. We came very late to production. I really thought after 25 years working in the company that we would never play in the production space because it was too late for us. So I didn't really see that we had anything to do there. However, it is true that with the inkjet technology, that's a completely different ball game. We have a kind of a space in the market that nobody's there. And that came as a unique opportunity for us. We had a long reputation of having very reliable and high quality inkheads that we have been producing for years for the OEMs, and now was the time to manufacture our own product. At the beginning, it was a big question mark for us. New channel, new product for us. We didn't have the expertise. So we really took a very, again, typical in Kyocera, a very conservative approach. We did a controlled launch for months with 5 customers testing the product. It worked very well. And then from that moment on, we went full scale. And the results have been spectacular. We have, in this moment, more than 30 dealers in the US that signed for production inkjet. Some of them dealers with a very long experience in production, that they know what they are doing. And they really saw quickly the possibilities of this product. And the results have been really good. Actually, the results in the US have been much better than in Europe. So I think that we are doing a great job there. And as you said, we announced that we'll have a new commercial inkjet product at the end of this fiscal year. We're going to go to new printing volumes. Right now with the current device, we're in the range of 1 million pages per month. With the new product, we'll go up to 5 million. So that's completely new ball game for us.
Yeah.
So the message that we try to give to the dealers is that we are really serious about production and we are serious about inkjet. This is not just one product that we are trying. That's something that we see that this is a big future for us, that is a new revenue stream that we need to compensate the decline in printing volumes. And again, so far it's going very well. Many dealers trusted on this product. And what I saw in the technology fair, that was the most visited part of the technology fair. So I think that many dealers are opening their eyes, and we are very optimistic about the outcome in this fiscal year.
Well, you certainly invested in it. I think I heard you had someone during the presentation say you had 8 people supporting just that one product. So, it's clear you've definitely put your money behind it. I don't know if this product had it, but back in the office, one of the awards you guys, it wasn't an award, it was a certification. And it was confusing because it was kind of positioned as an award, but it's actually very different. So you received, it was a Keypoint or BLI. I can't remember how what they used as their logo, but BLI, the test lab owned by Keypoint Intelligence, gave you guys some security validation. You may be the only one so far that have earned that on your printer line. I can't remember if they said others have gotten it so far. But in any case, your most, if not all, of your product line has received that validation. What do you think that brings to your line?
Well, I'm not discovering anything when I say that probably right now, top of mind of any customer today is security, cybersecurity. I think this is a big threat that any company has. And that's why what we did with the new A3 line is that we gave it to BLI, to Keypoint Intelligence, and we wanted to conduct a complete security assessment, including white hack of the product, just to try to see if there was any vulnerability. That's an assessment done in conjunction with Accenture, so it's a very prestigious assessment that has been done, and we were so excited to be able to share with the whole dealer community that we really passed that exam without any vulnerability in our products, which means that our products are secure for any customer. And again, I think right now this is a very strong value proposition, so that's extremely good for us.
And this isn't a rubber stamp, right? Like they try to have your devices. They don't do it themselves. They actually work with outside companies as well. If I understood that program correctly, they have the computers. They try to hack it from the outside. They test the security vulnerabilities from within. So it's a pretty extensive test. And again, it's from multiple organizations, but they're the ones giving the recognition. So congrats on that. That was very cool. Just all over the place. I mean, you guys, another one that pops to mind was that, now we're going to jump from commercial and production print, right, and Transpromo down to the home office, where you introduced another program for the home office. So you're going to have smaller desktop printers than you're already selling, de-featured, less expensive, very inexpensive, in fact. But these are not designed to be serviced. These are designed. Do you want to talk about that program? I think that was the exchange program Frank had introduced.
Yeah, exactly. We announced 2 new products, typical home office products. So we are talking about a dealer price below $200 for the MFP and $150 for the printer. So that means that those are really entry-level products that can be sold, not so much to an end user, but we believe that many companies will procure printers and MFPs for their employees working from home, and that's a typical situation that we see many occasions. So first of all, we have the products, we have the technology, which is great. But then the problem you have is that when you have a device placed in a home, in an employee's house, how do you service that device? You cannot. First of all, it's totally inefficient to dispatch a service engineer for those printing volumes. That's the first thing. But second, there are a lot of components in terms of liability of releasing or having one of your employees in a private house. So that poses a challenge on how to serve those devices. So what we did is that we created this product, this service, which is exchange warranty. So dealers can buy an exchange warranty for those products, and if the product fails, then the customer can call to our help desk. We triage the problem. If we are not able to solve the problem on the phone, then overnight we'll dispatch a new printer to the employee's house, and then in the same box, the employee can put the old printer and send it back to us. All of that with no cost for the customer, no cost for the dealer, because everything will be covered by the exchange warranty. So we try to be consistent. We launch the product, but it's not enough to say, here you have a new product, try to sell it. So what we try to explain to the dealers that we have a product, but also we have a strategy on how to sell it in a way that can be interesting for that. If you combine that as well with e-commerce, that's another of the big initiatives that we try to push to the dealers. I think that you are combining the three elements that probably you need to penetrate better in the small office and home office space.
Well, you know, that product fits beautifully into e-commerce, and you did talk about that quite a bit. There was a lot of discussion about it, and what I liked about that event was, you know, you had this panel where you opened it up for questions from you and your team and your executive team, and these weren't pre-scripted questions. People just walked up to the microphone, and you know, you got some really good questions, I thought, that were very, you know, supply chain and high level questions. And then you had a couple guys asking about, you know, the materials you're using in the manufacturer of the machine, right? So, or the stand, right? So but what I loved about it was that you sat out there and you allowed people to ask these questions. But back to the e-commerce, you know, you had talked about, and one of the issues with our industry for e-commerce is the territories that the dealers tend to have for the A3 product line, which now is, you know, if you look at the full SKU of a dealer, that's one part of a lot of products that they sell, and most of those are not restrictive as far as territories. So you were very much in favor of dealers getting into e-commerce. You're going to help consult them, help, I guess, educate them would be a better word. But then you actually, I hope I don't put you on the spot, but I'm going to anyway, you know, you talked about A4 and you had some thoughts about, you know, potentially, you know, maybe changing the way our industry looks at these restrictive territories. Could you talk a little bit about that? I won't ask you to commit to anything, but you know, it did come from you when I heard it the first time.
Well, I think that our industry, the way that I see it, and you know, I came here 3.5 years ago, I may be wrong, but I think that our industry has been designed here in the US around A3. So I think A3, these are devices that you need to maintain by yourself, and there has to be close to our territory. So we all the OEMs, we have authorized our dealers based on the counties or states, and then they authorize in a limited geography. But we didn't think about A4, or we didn't think about the current state of A4. The current state of A4 is that these products are much inexpensive than they were before. There is a big demand, and there is a market out there for e-commerce. You have a player out there that who doesn't have any kind of authorization in any territory, which is called Amazon. So Amazon is selling all over the place, and other players like Office Depot or Staples or Walmart. So then it seems that we have different players in the industry, but different set of rules. So it seems that what we apply to our dealers doesn't apply to these e-commerce players. So I really think that that's not right. So I believe
disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that A4 and printers will require a kind of review of the current distribution policies that we have. I think that there are many things to consider and discuss about it. So this is not something that we're going to decide by ourselves. What I committed to all the dealers is that we will open a conversation with them to understand how they see it, who is in favor, who is not, and try to come up with a decision that, well, it will be in favor of most of the dealers. So that's what we want to do, because I think if not, we are just denying a situation and a change that is happening in the market. And I think that's the way that I started my presentation. We cannot simply deny what is going on. Change is happening, and we cannot think that our industry is not going to be affected by that change. So we have to react to that change. Just trying to pretend that things will go back to the previous state that we had maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's just simply, I think, fool ourselves. So again, my view on this is that this is new. The market is shifting towards A4. Today, 80% of the MFPs sold in the US are A4. 80%. That's a lot. So if we want to play in this market with the rules that we define for A3, when the market is demanding A4, I think that we are not doing what the customer wants. And I think that at the end, it's not what I say, it's not what the dealers say. I think that we have to respond to what the customers want and not what we want. So,
Yeah, I agree. You know, I mean, look at your own buying patterns, your own buying habits. I may be a bit more extreme, but if I never go to another store for the rest of my life, I'd probably be very happy with that. And I don't want to talk to a salesperson. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to just go online, click something, and have it come. And you know, maybe that's not possible for A3, excuse me, but for A4, you know, that's how I would want to buy that product. And you're going to lose people who are going to buy it that way if you're not there. You know, you don't have to sell it that way, but if your customer, the customer is going to rule at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and at the end, I think that some dealers are kind of very afraid about, you know, e-commerce and how can I compete with Amazon. And I think that what the dealers have in this industry, and especially let's say in the US, and I think even much more than in Europe, is that kind of customer loyalty, because they have been providing service for years to the same customers, to the same community. So they are well known in that community. And I think that what they can do is that they can sell online certain products, not all, but certain products, but they can provide a layer of value added that e-commerce, big e-commerce store cannot do. So they can provide local service, and they can provide installation, and they can provide much more customized services. And I think that they have to rely on that. They have a layer of value added that their competitors cannot provide. And if they combine the ease of use of e-commerce plus their value added that they have been providing for years, and the customer loyalty that they have, and the customer centricity, in my opinion, they are extremely competitive. And I think that's what they have to see. I think that they have a lot of opportunities there, and I think they have to just simply maximize it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we're not looking to this industry and saying you all have to create an Amazon, right? We're all talking about, you know, enhancing what you're already doing, making it easier, making it better, and maybe picking up a few extra dollars here that you may have lost because your customer or a potential customer wants to buy it in a certain way that you're right now that you're not, you know, allowing them to do. So
it's very
yeah.
simple. But let's think about a customer, a long-time customer of one of our dealers, that he wants to buy printers and he wants to buy online. And he goes online and he doesn't see his dealer online. What is he going to do? Is he going to say, well, no, then I will not buy online? That customer is going to buy online, either we want it or not. Yeah. So I think it's better that he goes online and he finds us, he finds our dealer online to supply the products that he has been traditionally buying through a sales web. And I think that's the only change. And again, this is not for A3, this is not for certain products, but at least I think that we all should try to start working. And when I mean we all, I mean all the dealers should try to start offering entry-level products through e-commerce, and then learn. This is a journey. This is what Jose explained very well. This is a journey. We have to start, and we have to start learning. And then gradually we will understand how to use this market in our advantage.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Oscar, thank you so much for spending so much time with us. Your show was fantastic. It was really good to be back, and you did a good job with it. It wasn't just, you know, it was a busy couple of days. I mean, we were exhausted by the time we got in pretty late last night or whenever it was at this Friday night. But it was well worth it, and it was great seeing you and meeting all your new team. Any last shout outs? Anything you'd like to leave us with today?
No, thank you. Thank you very much for attending our show. First of all, I think it means a lot, not only that our dealers are there, but also the analysts and the people who is relevant in this industry in the US. Again, it was our first time to do this kind of event after I took over the company, and it was really important for us to have you there and to be able to transmit to you what we want to do. So thank you very much for attending our event.
Well, thank you. You did a great job. So you and your whole team, I commend you all, and catch your breath, and we will see you guys at the next one. Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.